Hello, listeners. It's me, Michelle. Christmas is coming, and we all know that's actually the spookiest season of all. So I'm doing a special call for Christmas-themed ghost stories. You know, being visited, angels, grandmas, you know the drill. Christmas-themed ghost stories. Maybe you were a horrible person and were visited by 3 spirits in the middle of the night. I don't know, but you should call in. You know that number, 1-701-484-2666. That's 1-701-484-2666. Get that Christmas ghost story in today.
But I go up to my living room and I see these 2 figures, and they look almost like TV static, but in a human shape. And they start attacking me.
Welcome to Tell Me a Ghost Story, the late night call-in podcast where we delve into the world of the supernatural and explore the eerie and unexplained. I'm your host, Michelle Newman. This podcast features true stories from our callers that will send shivers down your spine and leave you questioning the existence of the afterlife. So grab a cozy blanket, turn down the lights.
Hello, I've got another fantastic story to tell you. My name is Cynthia Ketron, Ketron. I visited the Whispers Estate in Mitchell, Indiana, and guess what? Something followed me home. Actually, several things. Number one, I live with a little girl ghost called Rachel that burned to death in the Christmas tree fire in the parlor of her home, and she died upstairs in her bedroom. I bought her a couple of sets of Barbie dolls to give to her that Christmas because she never had it, and now the little girl follows me and she comes to visit me quite often. Sometimes the little girl can be quite a corker. And I have another thing that followed me home. You've heard about monsters living under your bed. Well, this ghost that has assumed the shape of a crab, and it has piercing blue eyes that glare at me. It likes to hide under the bed. Thank you for listening to my story.
Thank you, Cindy, for another great call. You've called in before about Rachel. If anyone wants to go check that out, it's called Little Rachel, and it was released back in August.
Hi, Michelle. This is David. I'm from Kansas City. So, in my first apartment, off of a big road in Kansas City, I would always have weird experiences there. I always just felt like something was watching me. And I didn't think that the apartments were that old, but apparently they were. And ever since I was a little kid, I would have these sleep paralysis bouts where I knew what it was, but it didn't quite feel like a dream. It didn't quite feel like reality. But I knew something was off about them. And one morning, I went into a really bad one where I thought I was awake, but whenever I looked through the door to my bathroom or my closet, all I saw was black. I couldn't see through it, and it was light outside. So that was instantly weird. And I heard someone calling my name, like in a weird whisper. Like I couldn't exactly tell why, but it felt like it was coming towards me, like coming for me in a way. And that instantly freaked me out. And then out of nowhere, I heard 3 loud bangs on my door. So I got mad, which normally didn't really happen. I got mad and I woke up and I said, who is coming? Who is knocking at my door right now? And I go up, but still in this dream-like reality. I couldn't tell. It felt like something more. But I go up to my living room, and I see these two figures, and they look almost like TV static, but in a human shape. And they start attacking me. One gets on my back. I'm trying to fight them off, and my heart's pounding. I can't breathe. I'm freaking out the entire time. So I just started chanting, "Jesus help me, Jesus help me, Jesus help me, Jesus help me." And I'm not the most religious person in the world, but for whatever reason, it stopped. I woke up in my bedroom, and everything was fine. So I get up to start my day. I go up, notice that my door was unlocked the whole night, my front door. So I open it, not thinking much of it. I go outside and see about 4 police vehicles outside. This is probably 10 a.m. And I asked one of my neighbors, like, what the hell's going on over here? And he said someone from the adjacent apartment complex apparently had murdered his girlfriend in the middle of the night and was running around naked.
Thank you, Dave from Kansas City. I'm glad this was your first apartment and not your current apartment.
My name's Britney. I'm from Riverton, Utah. A few years back, my great uncle passed away, and he had never married, never had kids. He'd actually, in his later life, had lived with my great grandma, and they just tended to collect a lot of things. And things were very important to them. They weren't well off. They didn't have like a big house or anything like that, but they just kind of became collectors of things. And even when my great grandma passed away, like my great uncles and my grandma put things in her casket and wanted her to have her things when she went to the next life. Well, when my great uncle passed away, the house was full. And so my husband was the real estate agent and hired some men that he's had help him, on different homes come and to help clear out a bunch of the things. Obviously, the family had gone through. We decided what we wanted to keep, as well as my aunts and whatnot. And everything else was stuff that we just needed to go to charity, be donated, whatever. We had no use or purpose for it. And so this couple that ended up going through the house and cleaning it out and getting ready for it to be sold, they ended up taking several of the items from the home and bringing them back to their house. And we were totally fine with that, like no problem. Well, a couple nights later, my husband gets a phone call from the gentleman who had taken some of the items, and he said, "I don't know what you want me to do with these, but I need to give them back." And he's like, whoa, like we told you can have them, you don't need to give them back. And he goes, "No." A lady named Ruth came to me in my dream and told me she did not want me to have her things. Now, Ruth is my great grandma, and on top of her obviously loving her things, she was very feisty and very protective. So he ended up not feeling good about keeping them. He ended up giving them back, and I actually have several items from the home that we've now put in our cabin in different places, and every time I see those items, I think, well, Grandma Baker must be okay with me hanging on to these things because she hasn't come and told me that she wants them back.
Thank you for your story, Britney from Utah. This reminds me of that phrase, "You can't take it with you." But no one ever said you can't stay with it.
Hi, my name is Sidney. I am from Nebraska, and my haunted story is from my teen years when I lived in California. My parents were looking to rent a friend of theirs' house, and my mom took me along to see the inside. And the first thing I felt about the house was there was bad energy. She proceeded to tell me that the house was built by her friend's husband and nobody died in the house. I was very hesitant about moving into the house, but my parents ended up agreeing to rent it. When we first started moving things into the house, my mom told me to stay behind and unpack my room while they went to pick up another load from our previous house. While I was unpacking, I felt like somebody was with me, but I proceeded to just keep unpacking my room. But from the corner of my eye, I saw a very large figure walk past my bedroom door quickly. But knowing I was alone, I thought maybe my older brother had came home to help unpack. I remember calling my brother's name multiple times and I got no response. So I walked through the house, but nobody was there. I was so scared that I sat outside until my parents came home. My parents had their bedroom, bathroom, and the sink faced the closet. And I would never look in the mirror because the mirror faced the closet. And one time I seen a lady, and I can never see her face, but I saw a lady in a dress, and she scared me. To this day, I still think about her and how much she scared me. I told my parents about it and they just told me, you know, there's nothing wrong with the house, blah, blah, blah. Well, years later, when we moved out of the house, my parents were having a conversation and they kind of told me, like, you know, you were right about the house. Because every single night, that lady would come out of the closet, go to your dad's side of the bed and put her hands on his feet and to wake him up. To this day, I still think about that lady, what the house could be built on top of, and why she's stuck there.
Thank you, Sidney, for your story. That's all we have this week, folks. Do you have a ghost story? Call 701-484-2666. That's 701-484-2666. Or go to tellmeaghoststory.com and leave your story there. Go ahead and leave me a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Was something particularly scary in this episode? Or maybe you've had a similar experience. Leave your comments via our Spotify page. Thank you to all the callers who left messages this week. And as always, I'm your host, Michelle Newman, signing off. See you next week.